Hey everybody, we are on page 26 in the Unit 3 packet, page 26, and we're going to go through the Unit 3 Lesson 7 notes on graphing inequalities. Just right off the bat, you can cross off this step 4. We're going to put some different notes here instead of what's there. So we know how to graph equations. And graphing inequalities is going to be very similar to graphing equations. There's just going to be a couple differences. So first of all, we want to get the inequality into slope-intercept form. Then you're going to plot at least 3 points. So basically, you're just going to graph the line. And just like always, we start at the y-intercept and then use rise over run. Now, with inequalities, we either will have a solid line or a dashed line, depending on what symbol is used. So we use a solid line if we have the less than or equal to or greater than or equal to symbols, because that means we include the line. Just like how if we do inequalities on a number line, we put a closed circle. You're going to have a solid line if it's the or equal to. We're going to have a dashed line if we don't have the or equal to in our symbol. So either less than or greater than. The other thing is that we either shade above the line or below the line. And this is the extra notes that we're going to change. So you shade above the line if y is greater than or equal to. So the way that I think about it is that we want the side that's greater than the line, and greater numbers are up higher on the graph. We shade below the line if y is less than or equal to. So these are the major differences here. You have to decide if you're going to do a solid or dashed line, and then you have to decide if you're going to shade above or below the line. All right, so let's start with example 1. Example 1 says y is less than or equal to 3 minus 2x. So this is already in slope-intercept form, and we would normally write it as negative 2x plus 3. And before I graph inequalities, I like to make the decision ahead of time whether I'm going to have a solid or dashed line and whether I need to shade above or below. So less than or equal to. Since it's the or equal to's, I'm going to have a solid line. And since I have y is less than or equal to means that we shade below the line. So I'm going to graph this just like I normally would. I'm going to begin at 3. I'm going to go down 2 over 1. And I would really recommend that you go all the way across the graph. I'm going to have a solid line. And then I shade below the line. And the reason we shade below the line is because all of the points below the line make the inequality true. So if I pick any point that's below this line, it's going to work in the inequality. So for example, like let's say I pick the point 0, 0. If I plug in 0, 0, 0 is less than or equal to negative 2 times 1, or 0 plus 3. 0 is less than or equal to 3. That's true. If I pick any point where I'm shaded, it's going to work out to be true. If I pick any point where it's not shaded, it's going to be false. So the shaded side indicates that these are points that are, in fact, solutions to the inequality. All right, let's try the next one. X plus y is greater than 1. So first of all, I need to get this into slope-intercept form. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides. So I have y is greater than negative x plus 1. Now, before I graph, I'm going to note whether I want a solid or dashed line. So since it's only greater than, I don't have the or equal to symbol. It's going to be a dashed line. And y is greater than. So when y is greater than or equal to, that means we shade above. And these are just those rules that you're going to kind of have to memorize and know, okay, when do I make it solid? When do I make it dashed? When do I shade above? When do I shade it below? So I'm going to graph this just like normal, and be careful because our habit is to just draw a solid line. So especially if you're using a pen like I am, it's really hard to make a solid line dashed. So remember, we want this to be a dashed line, not a solid line. And the reason why we make it dashed is because we can't include the points that are on the line as part of our solution. Now we're going to shade above the line. Like so. And that's all there is to it. Once you have these rules memorized with whether you're going to have solid or dashed or shade above or below, then it's just like graphing equations. All right, example 3. Got to get it in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. That gives me 3y is greater than or equal to negative 2x minus 2. Divide everything by 3. Oh, I don't like the way this is working out. You know what? We're going to skip this one. And I would like you to try example 4 on your own. So pause the video, take a couple minutes, and graph this inequality on your own. All right, so the major thing is deciding, remember, if I want a solid or dashed line, and this is going to be solid because it's the or equal to, and we're going to shade below the line because y is less than or equal to. So I graph the line, y equals 3x minus 1, just like I normally would. Start at negative 1, go up 3 over 1, and then we shade below, and that's all there is to it. And that is it for lesson 3.7.